I have to do my shows, and I'm sick, and I'm like, this sucks. I'm the kind of sick where I'm nauseous, and I have a headache, and I have a fever. Yay, dude, all of it. Yay, all of it. Okay. I drank. You know, if you drink Coca-Cola a little bit, take a little bit of sips, Coca-Cola, if you're nauseous, that shit zaps it, bro. I'm like, I never drink Coca-Cola. I'm like, I'm gonna drink Coca-Cola. Fuck it. I drank it. That shit, dude. It's crack. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good, dude. It makes me mad because it's so good. It's unfair. Fuck. Come on, Coke. So I drink it. My nausea subsides a little bit. Got a headache. Take some ibuprofen. Take some Dayquil. I'm rip roaring to go on stage. Not really feel like shit. Go on stage, kill it, fine, whatever, do good. My 4 shows were, I felt like I did great. Okay? Audiences were great. I think it was. Yeah, it was the second show of the first night. Also, I'm sick. I got to do 2 shows a night. It wasn't just a 1-show night. So the second show of the first night was the I'm on stage, and I want to post this clip because I recorded it. I'm going to blur out the guy's face, but in the front row, a guy just starts to like, oh, okay, he doesn't like my stuff, I guess, because he's like starts leaning back and he's like just going to be taking a nap. Oh, but why does he keep leaning? You know what I'm saying? And then I realize, hey, this guy is having a seizure in the front row. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be different. Oh, okay. Can't even, what to do, you know? Because this isn't going to be something that like happens and then we're going to forget about it. It's also not, it's going to be noticed because he's in the front row, okay? He lays down on the floor. I mean, it's all, I'll put it on Instagram. You know, I had to do crowd work. I had to, obviously. Like, you just can't, in the middle, stop the show. And then, it's actually, if I were to think of the worst thing to happen for the actual show, if you're an inexperienced comedian, or not even with that, just the worst thing to happen in your show, it's probably something like, yeah, like that, like a guy having a seizure in the front row, or somebody, maybe this, a man slapping a woman in the face in the front row. That would be fucking awful. I'm trying to think of the worst things, and this is what I mean. And by the way, by worst I mean worst. Now, obviously, and I mean for the show. Okay, look, if someone gets shot and killed, it's definitely worse, but it's not the worst for the show. The show just stops then, and then you don't do it, okay? If something like a guy in the front row has a seizure, and then they have to carry him out, there's still 400 people there, and you still have to do the show. So that's technically the worst kind of thing that could happen for the show. Because now, everyone's like, oh, okay, now what do we do? And they look to you, and they're sad, because they saw the guy's eyes roll back in his head. And you can't just be like, okay, so I was driving the other day and I saw a bunny. What, funny thing about bunnies, dude, you gotta kind of feel it out. So I'm like, what the fuck do I do? This has never happened to me before. So I'm like, in a way, I'm like, all right, let's test my chops. Because this is absolutely I had to one time in the middle of my show, all of a sudden my stomach goes, bar, roar, 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 and I go, there's something in my tummy that needs to come out yesterday. And I had to say, guys, sorry, I'll come back. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to take a grump. I'll be back in 5 minutes. The opener came up, did some time while I was taking a grump. But that wasn't as hard as this because, dude, I'm not even there for those 10 minutes. I'm grumping out. I'll deal with it later. I'll do another set. I'll get up. I'll do. How many sets you do that night? Oh, I thought you only had one show. No, I had two. I did one, then I had to take a shit. I came back, I did another one. It's for the same audience, but it was 2 shows, right? I'm on stage looking into a guy where their eyes roll back and they carry him out, the ambulance lights and shit. So now I'm like, they go, what? So I'm like, all right, well, I start talking again. Obviously, I'm not getting laughs because people are like, did that guy die? So I say something, and it finally gets like a little bit of a laugh. And some asshole says, too soon. And I'm like, hey, guy, what? This is the comedy show. You're at the place where it has to be too soon. You know, like I can't stop and I can't put on an episode of Law and Order after this. Like, this is still the comedy show at Levity Live. I actually said that on stage. Anyway, I'll put the clip on the Instagram. I feel bad for the guy. Hope he's okay. Heard he's okay. I didn't really hear he's okay, but I'm sure he's okay. And you got to go look at it. I'll do it soon. Wow. Shout out to that guy. I hope he's okay. And I have never seen somebody have a seizure. I've seen one guy have a seizure one time before this, but I haven't ever really looked into somebody while they were having a seizure, you know? Like, you notice a guy have a seizure. But when you look into a guy's face when they're having a seizure and the lights are on you and him, it's different, right? Because hey, I'm not a doctor. Hey, he's not having a reaction because of something I injected into him and I'm used to this stuff. Hey, dude, I tell jokes about cars on stage. You know what I mean? I tell jokes about my son shitting his diaper, right? So I'm like affected. I'm like mini traumatized. And by the way, nobody's going to feel bad for me because I'm not the one who had the seizure. So I'm like in this position of, I don't know. It's just like, anyway, I got out of it. It ended up being great. Thanks for having a seizure, guy. Anyway, it was what it was. But I was sick. The whole thing fucking sucked. But we made it work, dude. And I was one of those moments where I was like, I'm a professional, dude. Fuck yeah, man. This is it. I love being a professional comedian. I love being a professional comedian, dude. I really do.